Hello, and thanks for joining us today for the latest Technology Networks webinar. I'm Alexander Beadle, Science Writer for Technology Networks, and I'm here to moderate this event. I'm pleased to have Jonathan Druge joining us today as your presenter. A warm welcome to you. Jonathan joined Miltenyi Biotec in 2019 to pursue his doctoral studies in immuno-oncology as part of the network Manufacturing Tumor-Reactive Natural Killer Cells Mature NK project, a European Union-funded consortium run by the Marie Sklodowska-Curie Action Programme. While under the academic supervision of Ulrike Koll and Adelheid Cervenka, two leading experts in the field of NK cells, Jonathan focused on developing next-generation CAR-NK cells. After the successful completion of the experimental part of his PhD, he joined Miltenyi Biotec Marketing Department in 2022, specializing in research applications related to cell and gene therapies in immuno-oncology. So, without further ado, I will now hand over to Jonathan.
So hi everyone, and thanks Alexander for the really nice introduction. Also from my side, hi everyone, thanks for joining. Let's speak about how to unlock the full potential for your CAR-NK cells. So just as a complement, I'm now a product manager for all the cell and gene therapy applications and workflows at Miltenyi Biotec for the research part. And I'm really happy to speak about CAR-NK cells because, as Alexander mentioned, that's the cells that are deep in my heart because I worked with them during all my PhD. So without more blah blah, let's go into the agenda, what we will speak about today. So first, I will start with a small introduction about Miltenyi Biotec. Then we will speak about why you want to use NK cells, on most in this case, engineered NK cells, and then we can see how we can help you with our translational workflow, or even the next step if you are thinking about clinical manufacturing. And we will conclude this session by how you can analyze your cell product and be sure that you have the best product. And at the end, we will have Ask Me Anything session. So I'm really looking forward for that. But as mentioned, let's start first with a small introduction about Miltenyi. So I'm sure that most of you are already familiar with this company. So that's it was founded in 1999 by Mr. Stefan Miltenyi, that is still at the head of the company. And from then on, it grew up, and we are almost 5,000 employees now, and that's really international company. We are present in a lot of different countries, and we have a lot of different nationalities within our staff. And the big strength of Miltenyi is that a quarter of our employees are working in global R&D. So we are developing and using our own products. So when we are speaking about something that works or doesn't work, we know what we are talking about. And we have this broad portfolio of products, so up to more than 18,000, and you have so many cell therapy procedures that are performed with Miltenyi Biotech products, or that are involving Miltenyi Biotech products in their process. As I was mentioning, you might have heard that already. That's our mission here is to make cancer history. So that's why we are really focusing on different research fields like immunology, cancer research, and stem cell research. Of course, we are biologists, so we don't want to limit ourselves, and that's why we are also working with cardiovascular research and neuroscience. If our goal is to help researchers, we also want to work with clinicians and clinical researchers, and that's why we are also developing solutions for graft engineering, immunotherapy, or regenerative medicine. And we can do that through our broad portfolio of different products. Today we will speak about different steps like sample preparation, cell isolation, cell analytics through flow cytometry or imaging, without forgetting, of course, the cell culture and the cell activation or expansion. Going from benchtop to bedside is also one of our mission, and that's why we also develop solutions for cryopreservation, cell analysis, cell culture in GMP, or also cell processing through our CliniMax Prodigy platform that you might know and that is widely used in different publications. After this short introduction, let's see why you want to work with NK cells and why are they interesting for you, but I guess you already have an idea if you are here today. So why do you want to work with NK cells? So I always said that one picture was 1,000 words, so that's why I went to my favorite account on Facebook, and then we have this guy, Pedro Mix, that I really advise you to follow if you don't know him, and he has thousands of great comics like that, that summarize it quite well. So basically, when you have a cell that is mutated or transformed and that starts to express a mutation at the surface or a peptide, it becomes sensible to T-cell killing. And that's why this cell will try to take the MHC down, to internalize the MHC, to escape the T-cell killing. However, as the immune system is really well done and quite redundant, that's at this moment that it becomes sensible to NK cell killing. And then NK cells are kind of our fail-safe. They are the first responders also, and they are really great cells in the immune system, really an essential part. And indeed, they are really a fantastic tool for cancer immunotherapies because they express this whole repertoire of receptor, germline encoded receptors, so inhibitory, activating cytokine receptors or co-receptors, and they all work as a balance. So the balance of activation, inhibition is what regulates the killing of the NK cells. That's what makes it so efficient. And they are also quite safe. They display really low risk or limited risk of GVHD. Due to this whole repertoire of receptors, they display a really high cytotoxic power and natural ability to target abnormal cells, hence their name, natural killer cells. Also, it was proven and shown in different studies and clinical trials that NK cells in an allogeneic settings really show promising clinical outcomes, especially, for example, in an AML setting. And that's why it can become really quickly interesting in a world where we are trying to simplify and find better solutions for cancer patients. So you might say, okay, Jonathan, if NK cells are so great already, why do we need CAR NK cells? So basically, CAR NK cells are just NK cells that were engineered to express a CAR, a chimeric antigen receptors, and that works exactly on the same principle that CAR T cells. So this chimeric antigen receptor will allow the NK cells to overcome the inhibition that they can undergo after encountering the tumor cells. So they might be exhausted, they might be tired, and that's why the CAR might overcome this. All of this will allow them to kill the target cells in a better way, in a more specific way also, while keeping the superior safety and the clinical potential. So you still don't have a risk of on-target of tumor effect. It's possible to extend the persistence of your NK cells, and they also display a really low risk of cytokine release syndrome, like CRS, that is a common problem with T-cell therapy or CAR T-cell therapy. Beside the CAR, they will kill a potent anti-tumor activity beside this CAR because they still express all the receptors. So you can still have killing in a CAR-independent manner, for example, for infected cells or any other transformed cells. And you have also other processes like ADCC, antibody-dependent mediated cell cytotoxicity through the CD16 receptors, where they can simply kill the tumor cells or the target cells independently from the CAR. Another one, as I was mentioning before, the allogeneic source gives us the possibility to have a potential off-the-shelf product. So you can generate your CAR and NK cells from multiple sources, and you don't need to produce CAR product for each patient or to weaken a patient by taking blood from this patient and transforming the cells before re-injecting. So that's where we see some advantages for the NK cells. So in summary, these CAR NK cells allow you to transform your already very efficient NK cells into the superhero that every cancer patient deserves to be cured. Now, if we speak about engineering, of course, you have two big schools of thoughts that are battling, but that can, in my opinion, can be really complementary. So that's the viral gene transfer or the non-viral gene transfer. Viral gene transfer is widely used with gamma retroviral vectors or even more with lentiviral vectors or alpha retroviral vectors. And in the non-viral gene transfer, you have, of course, the mostly known electroporation or, of course, the transposon system like Sleeping Beauty or Piggyback. All of these allow you to generate really efficient CAR-NK cells. So that's widely documented in the field. Why do we think that there is a lot of potential for NK cells? Is simply that you have more and more infusions of NK cells products worldwide. If you check recently, we had 51 trials ongoing involving engineered NK cells, which is quite a small number yet, but we see really the potential of it to rise. And we hope that we will have soon more and more products and more solutions for the patients. So after this short introduction, let me speak about how we can help you present your translational workflow. So if you take the whole workflow, like a general workflow, so that's the workflow for CAR-NK cells, but that could be simply a general workflow. So you would have your starting material. In this case, let's speak about blood, and then you would need to isolate your NK cells to select the best NK cells, so to have a pure population. Then you will need to activate them, transduce them in this case, or to electroporate them maybe in the future, and then expand them through different cytokines on medium before you reach your final cell product. We can help you with that. We will touch all the different steps of this workflow today. So we can help you with to have a really high purity isolation of your NK cells via untouched or positive isolation, depending on your choices. You will see that I have a personal preference here, but let's discuss about that on the next slides. And we also offer you a feeder cell-free NK cell expansion with our NK Max medium that is optimized especially for NK cell expansion on different cytokines like IL-2 and IL-15, for example. That's what we recommend. And then we will speak about the NK cell transduction protocol here using our licensed baboon lentiviral vector. As you know, it's in the title of the webinar. So here we speak about the translational workflow. So all the products that we will show you are available in research grade, also under our Max GMP grade. So that's easy for you to go from the research to the clinic. That's our objective, to help you with that. So if we dig a bit deeper into the workflow, I will not go into details about all the products, but you have an overview here. We have all the different steps. You can see that all these steps are matching the clinical step below. So we have the equivalent reagents and instruments in the research workflow, but also in the clinical workflow, and especially when you use the CliniMax Prodigy system that you might know, that is a fully closed and automated system. Just a little note here, you see some products that are highlighted in orange here. I put them in the workflow because they are available. That's really good products, but however, they are not available in GMP, so they don't fit in the translational workflow. They work really great for research purposes, for screening, for example. They might make your life easier at the first step, but we really advise you, if you think about going translational at some point, about using our translational products, simply to avoid you to establish everything, and then when you reach this point, when you want to switch to clinical, to be blocked and to have to reestablish everything. That's a common problem. We had that quite a lot, and we just want to avoid that for you, because that will be a big loss of time and money. If I might summarize just this translational workflow in a few words, it allows you increased consistency, reproducible results, and that's why we provide you this worry-free workflow, to have simply a better cell product. So if we dig now deeper into each step for the isolation, for example, the isolation of your NK cells. So at Miltenyi Biotec, in this translational workflow, I really insist that's our way of doing things translational. So we start first with the CD3 depletion. So we will remove the T cells, the NKT cells, And then we will perform a CD56 enrichment to have a really pure population of NK cells. Our goal here is to have a population that is pure at least at 99% or even more. Depends on the quality of your workflow, and then we really aim to have the highest purity possible, to have the best cell product at the end, simply. Of course, you can do that manually, but you might already have seen this little instrument. So that's our Automax Neo. That's the new version that was released this year, and it's doing that completely automatically. So you have standardized experiments, so no human error, automatized, and the automation also leads you to have less time in the lab, less hands-on time, which can be also a gain of money for you. And basically, it works, the Clinimax Prodigy that I already mentioned works a bit the same. So it's also able to do that, but more in a clinical setting. So when we speak about isolation, we always have this big debate, like between positive selection and negative selection. What is the best? So you might be a bit worried about that. We offer both solutions, like positive selections, like I just displayed, but also negative selection, and that falls in the category of the non-GMP product that I was just mentioning. These kits are working really great, but when you want to go translational, they are not available in GMP grade, and that might lead you to have to reestablish your process, and that's really what we want to avoid if you think about going translational. If you just need to screen some cars or for basic research purposes, these kits are really what you need to have. Just a few words about the magnetic technology and the column technology. Why do we always advise columns? That's a question that we have a lot also. Basically, these columns are filled with paramagnetic bits. So they transfer the magnetic field and they can increase it up to 10,000 times. But what does it mean? Okay, so you have highest magnetic field, then that means that you can have minimal labeling. And that's great, that's a lot of jargon, but what does it mean exactly for you? Basically, if you have minimal labeling, you have no unspecific activation of NK cells. So you save time, you save money, and you have a cell product that is ready for further downstream applications. If you are really worried about this positive isolation that we are using in this translational workflow, we have solutions for you. We have this release CD56 microbeads, for example. We have it with different microbeads here, but let's speak about NK cells. So basically, when you perform your NK cell isolation, positive cell isolation, like we just mentioned, you are then able to release the microbead and the antibody. So you have virtually label-free target cells that are totally ready to be used for your next steps. Then you are able to do further isolation steps, like for example with CD3 microbeads, or even other microbeads, like because we are aware that NK cells in the NK cell research, the subsets are quite important, and that's why you might want to isolate another subset, and therefore with these release kits, it's totally possible. If we focus on the cell activation, I will ask you to watch this second row here. So we measured the CD69 and CD25 expression before separation or after the cell isolation. And you can see that we really don't have any activation of the cells through this positive isolation. So be aware of that, that this positive isolation, the cells are really in contact for maximum half an hour with the microbeads, so it doesn't activate them. And then they are ready for different subset magnetic sorting, like with the KIR or the NKG2C positive cells, if you are working with CMV or other viruses, for example. Okay, and of course, we also have concerns that you might have concerns that time is important for you. So we know that it's not important for all of you. For example, for research purposes, you might be less interested in saving times, but in the case that you want to have a lot of products really quick, we can also offer you this straight from technology that we developed. And in this case, that it's that works with blood, but we also have it with different organs like the spleen, for example. And straight from is called like that because you can have your cells directly straight from blood. So you don't need to go through all the painful PBMC isolation. You can directly put your microbeads in your blood, and then you directly have your cells in less than 30 minutes. And of course, this is also compatible with the Realis technology that we just mentioned and that we just discussed about. And then you have even further label removal. So if we summarize that, you have a direct isolation from blood, so less hands-on time. It's also adaptable to huge sample size, so flexibility for you. You can choose how to use it. And of course, it's compatible with our Realis technology, so you get label-free cells. So basically, if you take that in one sentence, you can go directly from blood products with a very reversible cell labeling. That can be quite great to save some time for many applications. This technology and all the microbeads that I mentioned are also compatible with another machine that is a bit different from the one that I mentioned before, the Automax Neo. Here we have the Multimax Cell 24 Separator Plus. And that's just a different application because this one was designed to have a parallel cell separation for large sample numbers or simply high sample volumes. So it's semi-automated, so you still save a lot of time for you. That might be quite important. Then it's also scalable. You can go from 1 to 24 samples or large volume samples that can be divided in 24 portions. And it's also compatible with all types of columns. So it works with all the cell isolation. It doesn't need to change anything for you. Okay, so now that you have pure NK cells, what do? You need to expand them. How will you do that? Will you use one single type of media for all your cell culture? We know that you have a lot of mediums that are working really well in the field, but at Miltenyi, we are really strongly believing that an optimized media for each type of cells is really a much better solution. And that's why here we developed the NK Max medium. We also have it for a lot of different cells, like the stem max or the tex max for the T cells. And here the NK Max was really optimized for the use of NK cells. So it was developed to preserve the NK cells effector function, and it's totally xenocomponent free. Unfortunately, we still have to work to add some serum in it, but we are working on a version without serum and also without phenol red. The main goal of this medium is to limit the growth of unwanted cells like B cells, T cells, DCs, and also to provide a superior NK cell expansion. Of course, you need to combine it with different cytokines. Like here, we recommend IL-2 and IL-15. We can speak about that a bit later. Of course, you are free. You are flexible. We have still the whole portfolio of cytokines. If you want to use IL-21, IL-12, IL-18, you are really free to do so. In our translational workflow, we use IL-2 and IL-15, and that's how we develop our own products. And if you check on this graph, when our teams here were expanding PBMCs, so without isolating NK cells, they were directly expanding PBMCs in NK Max and in Tex Max. With the support of IL-2 and IL-15, you can see that even without isolating your pure NK cells before, you still have a strong population, 70% of NK cells at the end. While using the Tex Max that was optimized for T cells, if I may remind you, this Tex Max doesn't provide the same effect, which is quite normal because it was not optimized for NK cells. Once you isolate your NK cells, which we always advise to do if you want to have a pure cell product, don't start directly with PBMC, always isolate your NK cells. Here, if you cultivate them in the medium with the right cytokine combination, you can have a huge expansion rate, a huge fold of expansion of your NK cells in average 50 times. So of course, it might be low compared to a feeder expansion, but remember that here it's a feeder cell-free expansion. You have lower yield, but it's much better to go for clinic. It's much easier for you. And that's why we are really convinced that the right approach to advise for our customers. You start to get it, right? But like it's a translational product. So we have all the products that I mentioned, and here, especially the NK max medium, and all the cytokines are available in research grade and also in max GMP grade. But let's speak a bit about the different recommendations that we have. You can see that this medium starts to have quite some recognition in the field because it works really great, and we are really happy and grateful for that it works for you. Yeah, we are continuing to develop it. So if we take a deeper look about the Miltenyi cytokines, why are we convinced that they are the best? That's basically due to the lot-specific activity. So what's the activity of a cytokine? Just its ability to induce a certain cellular response. That's the basic definition. Miltenyi cytokines are the only commercial RUO products, so research-grade product that provide lot-specific activity, which means that you don't need to titrate your cells because they are already titrated and they come with the datasheet for that. And you have less experimental variation because you don't need to dilute them yourselves. So we still keep our huge portfolio, so flexibility for you, as I was mentioning, whatever cytokine you want to use. And we also have higher quality and reproducibility, which saves you time and money. They are available in GMP, translatability, and last but not least, all our cytokines come in a lyophilized way, which means that you can keep them longer and more stable, which once again saves you money and you don't have to trash it if you didn't use it. So, okay, that's great. We saw how to isolate NK cells. We saw how to expand them and activate them, but actually, how do you generate CAR NK cells? Because that's the topic of the day. So here, if we check the engineering, as I mentioned, today we will focus on the transduction, but we are also working on solutions for you to electroporate your cells in the future. So we are really looking forward to deliver that, but let's focus on the transduction today. I went again to visit the page of our friend Pedromics. I think that this cartoon is really summarizing everything that you have to know about transduction and engineering of the cells in just 4 cartoons. So you will take your NK cells, you will just transduce it with the lentiviral vector or the different vector that you of your choice, and then you will have your super Rambo soldier that is ready to go to kill some tumor cells. So that's your CAR NK cell. How do you do that? Actually, you might be aware that if you use VSVG, which is the classical lentiviral vector that is used for transduction of T cells, it works really well with T cells, and that's why it's used there. But for NK cells, they don't express the good receptor for the virus to fix on them, to infiltrate them. So that's why it doesn't work with NK cells, or really at a minimal rate. Therefore, at Miltenyi Biotec, we license this baboon envelope pseudotype lentiviral vector. So that's just a different type of virus, a different type of envelope, and it recognizes different receptors, and it can really integrate the cells much more easily. If you combine it with NK cells that are activated with the way we discussed before, so with IL-2 and IL-15, it works really great, and you can even improve that further if you have an initial priming of your NK cells with IL-1 family cytokine, for example, like IL-1 beta. As you can see here, you have really a huge difference between untransduced NK cells and baboon lentiviral vector transduced NK cells. And this was documented in some articles in 2019. So we really invite you to read that if you want to know more about it, or if you have questions, just reach out, and I'm happy to answer about that. You can further improve your transduction efficiency by using the transduction enhancer. And that's why we are really happy to introduce you the VectoFusin 1 here. And you can see that when you use only the vector here on primary NK cells or on cell lines, you reach an acceptable transduction efficiency, but that's not the most efficient for cell therapy for the best step. However, as soon as you use your transduction enhancer, the vector fusion here, you can reach really high transduction efficiency, which is really good for your future therapy. So then you can even choose the formulation to dilute them, or that's your choice. That gives you, once again, more flexibility, and that's really our mission here. So just how does it work? What is this vector fusion? Why does it work so good? So that's a fully synthetic and soluble peptide that is totally non-toxic for the cells, and that will give you a quality cell product with less antiviral vector. So you, once again, save time in the lab to generate the vector and money, because that costs a lot to cultivate or to produce all your vector batches. To save you even further some time, we don't need any pre-treatment or pre-coating of the plate for that. So you can just drop in, and then it will form the complex with the virus, and you let it incubate for 7 minutes, and then you have a high transduction efficiency like I just showed before. So less on time, less money once again, and you start to get it right. It's a translational product, so it's available in research grade and max GMP grade, sorry. So now let's wrap up a bit. So you get pure NK cells. They are activated, they are fully functional, they are expanded without feeder cells, so ready to go for the next step. And hopefully they are expressing your CAR. So what happens now? What do you do? That's where we will speak about one step that you might consider with the clinical manufacturing of your engineered NK cells. So really shortly, that's not the focus today. I will really focus on the research side, not on the clinical, but just so you are aware. So that's our Prodigy platform, and I'm sure that you already saw it in different publications, different webinars, but this is a totally closed system and fully automated. So it reduces your clean room size. It's totally automated, so you that reduce your staff, the staff that is needed for that. You have also a huge standardization, so with a reproducible procedure due to the automation, and you don't have contamination risk. We are providing here a full regulatory support and a lot of trainings and webinars and resources. So if you have any questions about that, that's benchtop, that holds in your lab. That's working really good. We are really happy with this machine. That's one of our best sellers. So if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to us. So that's a lot of blah, blah. So, okay, that's a great machine, but what does it actually do? So in really short, all the steps that we spoke about before, the Prodigy is doing it automatically. We already have some processes that are released for the T cells. It's not yet for the NK cells, so please stay tuned. It's coming soon. I don't want to expand too much on that, but it will be there soon. So please keep in mind that it's here. And yeah, so now we are moving to the last part already. So time with you is flying, guys. Let's speak about how to analyze your cell product once you generated your best NK cells. So how do you know that you have the best NK cell product out there? You have to perform IPC QC. So what is this barbaric name? It's just in-process control and quality control. And you can perform that through the whole workflow. And for that, we offer all the solutions possible. So we have our reaffinity antibodies that are recombinant antibodies that totally limit the unspecific staining. We have also predefined antibody panels for your CAR NK cells analysis, CAR detection reagents when you want to measure your transduction efficiency. And we have, if in case you are interested for the cytokine analysis, the cytokine secretion of your cells, we have MaxPlex kits that allow you to perform that totally automatically if you are working in combination with the MaxQuant analyzer, or flow cytometer, or the custom express mode, which is a total automated and user-independent analysis. The software is doing everything for you. And our solutions are really developed to be used throughout all the stages from research, preclinical, and clinical trials. And that's why we try to help you in every step of your research. So what does it mean when I mentioned that you have to perform IPC-QC throughout all the workflow? Basically, you could use it to select your donor to do a key analysis to select the best donor. You know, that's quite an important point for NK cells. You will also need to analyze your cell composition at day 0 before the isolation, but also after the isolation. And we have customized panels for that. You will need to measure your cell transduction efficiency with our card detection reagents, for example. And then once you have your cell product, measure the cell composition, the cell transduction efficiency. So once again, different panels or card detection reagents. And you can even monitor the recipient, for example, to measure the different NK cell subsets, or if your CAR NK cells are persisting into the blood of your patient. If we speak about analysis, we can think about the phenotyping, of course. So as I mentioned, the cell count, the cell fitness, the composition, the intracellular cytokine, but you might also be interested into the functionality of your cells. And we can also help you with that. So for example, if you perform co-culture assays, ADCC assays, like we mentioned before, through the NK cell engagers that are bridging the tumor cells on the NK cells, or also the degranulation assays, and even the supernatant the secreted cytokines that are present in the supernatant. This was all documented also in different articles. This one I like particularly. That's a really great one. If you want to read it, I really highly recommend it. So just as a short summary, I know that you are all experts, all NK cell experts, but just a short summary about the mechanism of NK cells, so we are all on the same page. So with this balance of signals, once it's activated, the NK cells can perform natural killing, hence the name, right? Like, so it will recognize the target cells missing the MHC, so the inhibitory signal, and then it will perform perforin and coenzyme lysis or induce apoptosis. It can also perform this ADCC with the bridging of the NK cell engager here. And it can, NK cells are also high producer of cytokines, pro-inflammatory cytokines, so like TNF, alpha interferon gamma, GM-CSF. So you might also be interested in measuring that. And let's see how we can help you here. We have a lot of solutions. So if you are interested in co-culture assays, what do you want to measure? First, you need a target cell line that is expressing your antigen of interest, and that is ideally robust against the natural killing by untransduced NK cells. You will co-culture them in several E2T ratios at different time points and incubate them at 37 degrees. And then you will perform this flow cytometric analysis with ideally a live dead staining. And you can do that in combination with our max count analyzer. So that's what we do in-house. That's what I did during the whole PhD. And you might obtain results like that I stole from the really nice publication that I showed you before, because I summarize it quite well. So if here you incubate your NK cells in different E2T ratio, you can see that untransduced NK cells are really not able to kill the tumor cells, which is quite normal. But as soon as you transduce your NK cells with the CAR at high E2T ratio, and you can see that it's decreasing over with the E2T ratio, you have a really more efficient killing. And another point that might be considered for CAR NK cell therapy is the persistence of your therapy. So are the NK cells able to kill after some time? And that's why here what they did, they re-challenged the NK cells, their CAR NK cells, every day with fresh target cells. And you can see that the untransduced NK cells really don't like that, to be confronted to have to fight fresh target cells every day. They really don't like it. While the CAR NK cells, they really can kill almost all the population of the target cells on the first day. But even after 5 days of re-challenge every day, the NK cells are still able to kill 70% of your target cells. So that's quite interesting. Finally, another aspect that you need to assess here is the specificity of the CAR killing. So if we have a cell type, a cell line, so RS411, that is really resistant to CAR NK cells, to natural killing by the NK cells, you need to assess that these cells are only killed in only one condition, when they express the antigen of interest. So that's why there were transducers here to express it. And when the CAR NK cells, when the NK cells express the CAR, that's what is represented by this graph. Only when these two conditions are reunited, you will have killing. If one is missing, if two are missing, you don't have a killing. And that's really what is translated here. And that might be an important readout for you. Of course, if we mention also unspecific CAR killing, you might be interested in ADCC, like we mentioned sometimes during this presentation. We can also help you with that. I didn't present it today because it's not part of CAR NK cell workflow, but we have a lot of application protocol or application notes that we can help you, that we can provide to you if you desire. Well, the last point that I want to approach today, because I see that the time is flying, is that you might be interested in the pro-inflammatory cytokines that your cells are secreting. So after co-incubating them, you might just get the supernatant, and just with 50 microliter of this supernatant, using your MaxPlex cytokine kit, one of our MaxPlex cytokine kit, we have different ones depending on the cytokine that you are interested to analyze. You can analyze up to 12 cytokines per sample. Once again, if you perform it with the acquisition in combination with our MaxQuant on the Max Express mode, everything is automated and you save a lot of time. So basically, in half an hour of hands-on time here, you will have results that look like that, where you can see that the CAR NK cells are secreting much more cytokines than non-transduced cells, which is quite good. Of course, this expression, this higher expression is also highly correlated to the presence of target cells. If the NK cells are not activated by target cells, they don't secrete these cytokines. You can see here the safety. I wanted to show you that also, that basic CAR T cells, even when they are not activated, they secrete as much as activated NK cells. And if you put the target cells on top, the levels go through the roof, and that's where you might have cytokine release syndrome or systemic risk. So yeah, I'm coming now slowly to an end. So I hope I was quite clear about the translational workflow, and we approach also all the raw materials, but be aware that we provide a whole range of services, and that's what comes quite often from our customers, that they are really happy about all the trainings and support that we are providing. We are really all scientists here, even in marketing. We are not trying to sell you something that we don't know that works. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any questions. We are happy to support and to help you here. So yeah, I'm coming to an end. We will soon start the Q&A session. I just want to mention, please, if you want to be aware of our latest innovations, follow us on basically every social media that exists. Stay tuned for that. And if you have questions, please reach out to us, ask questions, and you can also contact your local sales organization. They will be really happy to help you with all your queries. I just give you a few seconds to acknowledge my disclaimer here. Yeah, I want to thank you for your attention. I just put here, in case you are interested, our brochure that redirects you to all our solutions for research and clinical applications. Yeah, once again, thanks for being here. Thank you.